Mario Puzo did not simply create a story about the mafia. In The Godfather, he built a symbolic universe, a closed world that operates under its own laws, ancient rituals, and an almost sacred language. Like the great literary mythologies, this world does not depend solely on plot to exist. It is sustained by atmosphere, by the repetition of symbols, and by the sense that we are facing something older, greater, and inevitable compared to its characters. Puzo's mafia is not portrayed as a fleeting social phenomenon or mere criminality. It appears as a parallel order, a system that hides within the cracks of civilized society and operates silently beneath its surface. It is a world that does not reject modernity, but instead makes use of it. Politicians, judges, businessmen, and police officers move through it as if crossing invisible borders. There is no clear rupture between the legal world and the criminal world. Only a thin curtain that few are able to perceive. This mafia universe is structured as a modern mythology. Clear hierarchies exist, resembling those of ancient kingdoms. The Don occupies the place of the absolute sovereign, the patriarch who decides the fate of lives with the same solemnity with which he grants favors. The consigliere fulfills the role of the wise advisor, the one who sees beyond emotion and turns violence into calculation. Caporreggimes govern territories like feudal lords, while soldiers carry out orders without question. Each role carries symbolic weight, and each position demands an almost religious obedience. Nothing in this world is improvised. Everything is ritual. The kiss on the hand, meetings in dimly lit rooms, the respectful silence before a fatal decision, weddings and funerals that blend celebration and mourning all contribute to the feeling that we are facing an ancestral order passed down from generation to generation. Violence, when it occurs, is not chaotic. It is methodical, administered, almost bureaucratic. And precisely for that reason, it is even more disturbing. Language plays a central role in this mythology. Puzo creates phrases that are not merely dialogue, but moral commandments. It's not personal, it's just business. Does not serve to explain an action, but to purify it. Language acts as a veil that transforms murder into necessity, betrayal into justice, and fear into respect. As in ancient mythologies, words shape reality. To say something is to make it true. It is within this closed and self-sufficient universe that Kay Adams appears, the character who represents the civilian gaze. External and rational, Kay does not belong to that world. She comes from the illuminated space of law, logic, and conventional morality. For this reason, her presence makes the mafia universe even more mysterious. Through her, the reader and the viewer understand that this world is not only cruel, but profoundly alien. For Kay, the mafia reveals itself as a hidden kingdom concealed within the shadows of American society. What unsettles her most is not explicit violence, but the elegance with which everything takes place. The men speak softly, dress soberly, and maintain composure. Horror does not scream, it whispers. This is Puzo's true Inferno, an inferno without fire, without grotesque demons, where condemnation is carried out with courtesy and calm. A civilized inferno. The more Kay tries to understand, the more she realizes that there is no full access to that world. It does not explain itself, justify itself, or defend itself. It simply exists. The moment when the door closes in front of her literally and symbolically marks the definitive boundary between the two universes. It is not a violent expulsion, but a silent exclusion. That world does not allow complete witnesses, only initiates. This opposition between light and shadow, between civilization and underworld, gives the novel a mythological depth comparable to works such as The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien created Middle-earth as a universe with its own history, languages, peoples, music, and myths. Puzo, in turn, constructed an American underworld that feels as ancient as any legend. Both create worlds that seem to exist before the narrative begins and to continue after it ends. The comparison becomes even clearer when we observe the role of music. The theme composed by Nino Rota is not merely a soundtrack. It is an emotional gateway. As soon as the melody begins, time slows down, melancholy settles in, and the viewer is transported into that universe of honor, blood, and destiny. Like the musical themes of Middle-earth, this music carries identity, memory, and emotion. It does not accompany the story, it invokes it. It was this combination of mythology, language, aesthetics, and sound that allowed The Godfather to transcend the limits of literature and cinema and become part of global popular culture. Like Tolkien, Puzo created archetypes that are instantly recognizable. Merely mentioning a don, a consigliere, or an offer that can't be refused is enough to summon an entire universe. The mafia world came to function as a metaphor for power, politics, business, and human relationships in general. Over time, this universe ceased to belong solely to its author. It was absorbed, reinterpreted, parodied, and in many cases romanticized. Series, films, video games, and even political discourse began to use the grammar created by Puzo. That is the fate of great mythologies. They expand, transform, and endure because they touch something deeply human. In the end, The Godfather is not merely a story about organized crime. It is a reflection on power, destiny, and belonging. Mario Puzo shows us that true empires are not built by force alone, but by symbols, language, and silence. And that very often the most enduring inferno is not the one that burns in flames, but the one that hides elegant and orderly just beneath the surface of the civilized world. The universe created by Mario Puzo remains alive because it does more than tell a story, it builds a modern myth. An elegant and dark world, governed by symbols, language, and silence, hidden beneath the surface of civilization and, like all great mythologies, continuing to resonate long after the narrative ends. Like Tolkien's Middle-earth, this refined Inferno invites us in, but does not always allow us to leave unscathed. If you found this analysis interesting, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this content with those who also enjoy great narrative universes in film and literature. Your support helps this kind of reflection continue to grow. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you see The Godfather as a critique of power or as a modern mythology about it? What other cinematic universes do you consider comparable to those of Tolkien or Puzo? Leave your comments and questions below. I'll be happy to read and respond to them. Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next analysis.